Welcome back to the podcast. I am Justin Stacy. Guys, I just said my part. It's your go. Can you hear me? Hello? Let me try it again. Welcome back to the podcast. I am Justin Stacy. Hello, guys. I get it. Okay. Yep. I see what's going on here. You're still miffed. You're still miffed at me over last week. This is completely ridiculous. We're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles tonight. Nate, this was your big idea. Like, what am I going to do? Talk to myself? All right. Well, I guess I am talking to myself tonight. So sit back, relax, get mad at Justin as I myself open a bottle of pop culture.
We're going to talk about some really cool stuff. Well, Josh, Nate, and I, we're going to blow this thing up. I said, we're going to blow this thing up.
Okay, I get it. You're both mad from last week over the Fruity Pebble thing. I was just playing around. I'm sorry.
That's not it at all.
Yeah, I haven't even remembered that.
Then what the crap are you all mad about?
Unfair working environment?
What does that even mean?
I'll tell you what it means. You told us we had budget cuts, so our turtle costumes had to be pajamas.
Yeah, our weapons were toilet paper rolls and forks.
And you somehow worked it into the budget to have a decked out Shredder costume. Here's proof for those who haven't seen.
What do you have to say for yourself, mister?
Well, you see, then there's yeah, I've got nothing. It really is as bad as it looks. Listen, I'm sorry, guys. I just wanted to splurge on myself one time. Is that so bad?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I get it. I'm a douche. What can I do to make it up to you all?
How about this? Upgrade our turtle suits to something worth wearing.
Pizza party?
Done and done. Now, can we please get back to regular scheduled programming?
Cowabunga, dude.
Cowabunga, dude.
We're going to talk about some really cool stuff. Well, Josh, Nate, and I, we're going to blow this thing up. We're going to talk about the movies you love. And if you don't, well, that's just tough. But we're going to talk about shows that are awesome. You'll say, whoa, when we talking about Blossom. This will be your one and only stop for everything nerdy in a bottle of pop culture.
All right. So, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, original movie, and part 2, Secret of the Ooze. So that's what we're covering tonight. First thoughts. What we got?
Oh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990. 2 thumbs up to this day. It holds up. I mean, did you really think a movie called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was going to be a film studied by movie students all over the world? No, it was just fun.
Mm-hmm.
Second one, thumbs in the middle for me.
Yeah, I would almost say thumbs down for the second one.
Yeah, they were hard to watch back to back.
Yeah.
They are.
I'm in the same boat. I mean, like, the first one, I can definitely go back and rewatch, but the second one, I'm just like, yeah. It's just, I'm in the middle. I mean, I guess I've seen worse, but it's all right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've all seen worse.
I mean, at least there wasn't vanilla ice in this one.
No, that was the highlight for me in Secret of the Ooze, honestly.
Oh yeah, the first one. That's why, like, no vanilla ice.
Are you saying that you are not a fan of vanilla ice?
Nope.
So you hate the Flintstones.
The good name of Rob Van Winkle.
That's right. What's wrong with you?
How dare you, sir?
I listen to real hip hop.
In 1991, that was real hip hop. That's
was
the sad part.
Okay, you okay?
Yeah, it really was. Oh man.
It was
Although
pop.
I will say that Go Ninja chant is catchy.
It's iconic.
I grew up with a buddy who, you know, did flips and stuff. We'd be out doing stuff and we would chant that at him. That's no joke.
Oh yeah. I
But,
loved
you
it
know,
myself.
that was kind of the thing from the 90s too. Like they had like a lot of those sort of like kind of campy, corny songs for movies like that. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, it was, yeah, that was like a 90s thing too.
I agree.
But I think
Absolutely.
the 80s was kind of like that too, because wasn't there like a Freddy Krueger rap in one of those old like Freddy Krueger movies? Yeah, I think there was.
I would not be
Uh,
shocked if there was. I don't remember.
There-
It was
but
There was a
absolutely
DJ
terrible.
Jazzy Jeff from the Fresh Prince song about Freddy Krueger called Nightmare on My Street
Yeah.
or Nightmare
That's
on Fresh
amazing.
Street or something like that. Don't
remember
remember
that.
how I know that.
that's amazing.
I'm not sure that was Will Smith. That was some rapper. Let me take that back.
All right, before we get started, I think we should take a moment to display our figures. I've got one of the huge Michelangelo pop figures. This was given to me as a birthday gift from Mr. Justin Kaiser. So plug to him. Thank you very
That's
much
really
for
cool.
this gift. Yeah, it really is. Very awesome. It's got Simply Donuts. And I
love
think
it.
this is the only turtle pop figure that I have currently. I don't have turtles. Nate, what do you got?
I got
All of
these
them.
guys.
All the figures.
So, as you all know, I'm a pastor, and the people at my church know that I'm kind of a big kid. Last October for Pastor Appreciation, this was my gift from the church.
Nice.
I mean,
That's
either
awesome.
they accept me or they're just trying to keep me happy. I don't know which. So I got the turtles and Splinter, and I want Shredder, but I don't know where I would put him. I don't know that I could hold another figure here, but they're cool. I love them, and I keep them here at the house. But I'm big into the turtles. I love them.
Awesome. Josh, what you got?
I got the Daredevil thing that you got me for my birthday. I mean, I can work this into Eternals.
I got a rock.
Yeah. Now, how, Josh, does that relate to the Ninja Turtles?
Well, there's a fan theory because somebody's bored, I guess, online that this is connected with the Turtles because of the Ooze stuff, and it kind of made him blind and the Turtles mutants. My description is great.
I'm pretty sure
So-
that could go in a movie review.
So there, yeah, I'm sure that is accurate. Now, there is some history that connects the two. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was created heavily inspired by Daredevil, and you can tell that from number one. I mean, the headband thing, it kind of looks similar from what he would wear and what the Turtles wear. Number two, the Foot Clan is called the Hand in
Marvel
Daredevil.
Yeah.
In Marvel. The Master, you've got Splinter and Stick. Both, I mean, it's clearly a parody. Right? So there is connections to both of them. Now, I don't know that they've ever been owned by the same property. I don't think Marvel has ever owned Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I can't remember that they have.
Right. But a lot of comic book or I guess parent companies have owned it because it gets tossed around a lot. So who's to say it won't happen at some point and then we can have a crossover, at least in comic books. And that would be cool.
Give Disney time. Just give them time.
That's right. They will own it. They will own it eventually. So yeah, that's the tie-in for Daredevil. So thank you, Josh, for that. And you really need to get something Ninja Turtles, apparently. What
Apparently,
kind of fan are you?
Now that we've talked about it and we're not going to do it again, yeah, you need to go spend money.
apparently,
Exactly.
I'm just a hater these last few episodes. Like,
Flintstones, boo. Turtles, boo.
Yeah. So let's all hold up our things for a screen cap for the snapshot.
Oh, man, I just got them out of my hands.
He puts them on like rings.
My hands are little.
Is this a Thanos thing? I got them all.
Yeah, the Infinity
Should
Turtles.
have gone for the head. Screen cap.
Okay. Got
Now
it.
for the fans over there. You guys in the back. Sorry, it's been a long day, fellas.
That's right.
I feel you.
That's right. All right. So let's jump right into the synopsis. For Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first part. In New York, mysterious radioactive ooze has mutated 4 sewer turtles into talking, upright walking, crime fighting ninjas. The intrepid heroes, Michelangelo, Donatello, Raphael, and Leonardo, are trained in the ninjutsu arts by their rat sensei Splinter. When a villainous rogue ninja, who is a former pupil of Splinter, arrives and spreads lawlessness throughout the city, it's up to the plucky turtles, to stop him. So that is the first one. The second one, I don't know. The Ooze, it's the sequel of the Ooze, and they explain more about the Ooze, and I don't know. It's kind of garbage. So I'm not going to.
I would have loved to be a fly on the wall for the person had to pitch this as a thing. Like, here is a bunch of turtles that does ninja stuff, and they have a rat as a master. Okay.
And they're teenagers, and they eat pizza, and they talk like surfers, but they live in New York.
So,
and they're only in the comics, they're only 4 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Josh.
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, something I did find out randomly about the turtles was, like, originally they all had the same headband color.
That's what I was getting ready to say. They was all red.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I wonder, like, is the first issue of the Ninja Turtle comics, are they all red in that, and then after that they change colors? I heard it's very mature. The
I had it at one point and gave it away to a friend of mine.
It's worth money, so I don't know why you did that.
Because I was young and dumb, instead of now when I'm just, dumb.
Yeah, I would have loved to have owned that. I mean, I'd love to own it now. I would get it graded for sure. But one of the things I noticed about the movie that I wouldn't have noticed when I watched it, and I think this is the first watch I've seen of this movie since the 90s. Like, I don't recall ever seeing this movie after the 90s. And I guess, and this is kind of obvious that teenage is in the name, so it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I don't think I ever really noticed as a kid how much of a teenager they are, or that they act like. I don't know. I guess it's because they look like adult turtles. So to me, in my child mind, they were adults.
Stop. They look like adult turtles. Explain. Like, do they have facial hair?
I think it
deodorant?
Was maybe the height.
They shop in the adult section at Walmart.
Maybe it's their height. I don't know.
It's the adult size shell. I mean,
yeah.
They applying to get
they did not look like kids in costumes. They look like adults in costumes.
They pay taxes.
To be fair, they don't exactly look like real turtles from what I've noticed so far.
No, they really don't.
You've never seen an adult anthropomorphic turtle, really?
That can talk and walk.
I must sleep through a lot of this.
I like how you could clearly tell that in a lot of the scenes that this was a costume. Like, you could see how the mask, was going down the neck and stuff, which I didn't mind at all.
I'd rather have the costume than the CGI any day.
Yeah,
agree.
Knowing there was somebody in the costume, and the costumes from 1 to 2 was an improvement on the costumes for the turtles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry for the facial expressions for the turtles. Let me make sure I'm clear. The body was perfect in 1, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't like all the CGI when it's obvious.
Yep, I agree with that. Since we're talking about costumes, I loved. Well, this wasn't even a costume. This would be a puppet. So I loved the Splinter puppet in 1. I thought it looked amazing.
Like a costume.
It did look like a costume.
It looked like a guy in a suit.
It really did. And it was a puppet, and it looked awesome. In 2, it looked weird. And I'm trying to figure out why. They obviously redid the puppet to look different. And I'm guessing it's because in 1, they were living in a sewer, so you kind of had to make them look more grungy, more sewer rat. In 2, they were living in a home, so you cleaned him up. But that ruined it. It totally ruined it for me. The facial expressions when he talked looked weird in 2.
I think from 1 to 2, also the difference was the first one was kind of violent. So yeah, I'm sure you guys read the same thing I did, that the studio insisted the second one, like they never used their weapons in the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like the second one was much more kid friendly, and we'll get to that. So I
Yeah.
think it was with Splinter. Don't make him look so much like a dirty rat.
I think you're right.
Yeah, like they made like I don't know, like it just seemed, I don't want to say dumbed down, but it definitely seemed more kid friendly in the second
Very
one.
much. Halfway through the second one, I was like, "Oh, why did I suggest we watch them both?"
Mm.
Like there was
I
a lot
watched
of,
them back to back, and that was a mistake.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did too.
It seemed like there was more like quips or whatever you want to call it on the second one. Like there was like more jokes, you know, when they were like fighting or whatever.
Right.
It almost kind of reminded me of like, you know, do you remember those Jackie Chan movies where they did crazy, like he's fighting, but he's also doing kind of like the slapstick style fighting, whatever you
You
want
mean
to call it.
every Jackie Chan movie? Yes.
Yeah. So like when who was it, Michelangelo or whoever it was, like he uses that bouncy thing to fight off the guys in the mall thing. Yeah.
Yes.
That kind of reminded me of those Jackie Chan movies. Like, you know,
Mhm.
I'm like, nah, I don't know. The first one was way better.
Yeah, I agree. I honestly think the biggest reason for me, other than just the second one felt way more like a G-rated kids movie. It just way more. The first one, I liked it more because the story heavily evolved around April O'Neil,
Mm-hmm.
the first actress to play April O'Neil, which was 100% better than the second one.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. I didn't read the details as to why that actress didn't come back, but it sucked that she didn't, because
She wasn't asked
she
back.
she wasn't asked back.
They said she complained and griped about costuming and story. And so when they
Really?
went to do the second one, she just was not invited.
Well, I mean, that sucks. But,
Yep.
but I mean, the fact that the second one really didn't care about April O'Neil. I mean, the story itself just I was not happy with it, because April was such a big character in the first one.
She's,
And I
she's
felt
kind
like
of
that.
glue. Like to me, her and like Splinter are like the glue for the turtles.
I agree.
Yeah. And of course, Casey Jones being in the first one and not the second one, that was a big hit as well.
Yeah.
Because Casey was a great character.
I need a Casey Jones pop.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And a shredder.
And like I just feel like the first one probably stuck, you know, from what I've read, like it stuck more to like the gritty side of what the comics were.
Yeah.
As opposed to being bright and colorful on the second one.
Now, I know that, you know, I think it was after the first came out, and it was a huge box office success. That it was an independent studio that actually picked it up. They could not get any of the big name studios to pick this movie up, so it was an independent that did it. They spent only like $13 million to make the movie, and it made over $200 million. So So then after that, they knew that there was a hit on their hands. So then there was a lot of advertising after that when they were going to do the second one, and they were doing like I think this was when the Turtles tour, when they had a band or whatever, and they were going around doing all the shows.
The Pizza
Remember
Hut
that?
tie-in.
Yeah, there was the Pizza Hut tie-in. They were on Oprah, I think. There was a lot of stuff.
Wow.
Raphael cried. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of PR around the second one, and I think that's probably why another reason why they kid friendly it down. They definitely changed the costumes to look different in this. Not a lot. It still had the same flavor, but the face, they looked like they were smiling all the time. I didn't really like that. Didn't really like that. And I didn't like that they looked smaller. I liked the bigger turtle feel in the first one than in the second one.
I did like the animatronics in the headgear in the second one, because to me, and I guess reading about it, it was easier on the actors, but you felt like they were really talking.
Yeah,
instead of in the first
true.
one, sometimes you'd be like, "Oh, the lips are moving," but nobody's saying that.
Yeah, that's true.
But I did like that improvement. If we could have just combined the two.
Yeah.
I mean, I will give them credit, like for the people that was actually in the costumes to do some of the stunts they did in both films. It's pretty crazy. To do the backflips and stuff. I'm just like, yeah.
That's true. I also like in the first one honestly just the teenager dynamic, the meta narrative you had of teens. And I feel like this was definitely a 80s thing. A lot of movies kind of dove into teenagers and especially lost teenagers that don't fit in. You know, you have the Lost Boys, and you have the Goonies, you have just a lot of secluded groups of teenagers that don't fit in with anybody else, and they're doing their own thing. And I think this movie had it too. And that's who they recruited for the Foot Clan, right? Is lost teenagers. So I feel like this movie was more of an '80s movie than even though it came out in 1990. I feel like it was an '80s movie completely.
Yeah.
So you had that. You had just the almost like an obsession in the '80s with Japanese martial arts in movies. They just loved it, right? So you had
just had
ninjutsu
that
here.
gritty. You also had that gritty looking New York look,
Yep,
which is
you did.
something you had a lot in the '80s movies. I mean, I know New York is probably cleaned up more, but like there was just something about that type of like image that just works well for these movies. Like New York just being full of criminals and just being nasty, just it
Well,
is.
it's still that way in New York, but they all work for the city of New York now.
Yeah, the mob, the mafia mob, it's kind of taking a back seat to the actual government.
elected officials. Can I get away with that? I've never been to New York.
That's funny. But
So
yeah,
did Jim Henson's crew work for did they do for both films? Because I saw it was like
absolutely.
in memory, but like I don't know if like I didn't read this.
Didn't he
Like-
die before the second one came out?
Yes, so that's why they did the in memory
He
of the second
hated
one.
the first one because of how violent it was.
He did. I bet he was a big instrument as to why the second one was so kid friendly. Because
Oh, he did.
yeah, and apparently him and the producer of this movie was best friends. So that's the reason why they had the connection. And he reviewed the movie the first one before they released it, and he just aired his grievances, saying he didn't approve of the violence in it. But he didn't ask them to edit it out because I guess they're best friends and whatever. But then in the second one, I guarantee you that's why, or a big reason why, that they's like, okay, we're going to have to, water this down. We can't. And I have wondered, like I'm trying to remember in the cartoon, I'm sure that in the cartoon that Leonardo never actually got to use his swords. I mean,
Yeah, they never used their weapons on anybody on the Saturday morning cartoon.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like that is almost a Turtles trope that they have these weapons that they cannot use.
Like I don't think I ever, that's something. Yeah, I never saw in the cartoons like they were, they use their weapons that much, and like to me, they could have just pushed this to a PG-13 if they wanted to. But I guess at the time, though, it probably wouldn't have been as profitable for a PG-13.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to want kids.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, PG-13 was still kind of fresh as a rating around that time.
Probably.
So, but I guess maybe PG was like their more profitable area.
Yeah, I understand the business decision.
Maybe to me, I just didn't seem that violent.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell the difference between the two movies just from the tone, the darkness. The first one was very dark, and it seemed a more adult themed. Like there was way more serious stuff in the first one than in the second one. Yeah. Everything was goofy in the second one.
Look at the first movie. They meet April, which has to happen. Their home is attacked. Splinter is kidnapped. Raphael gets beaten up and is almost killed. They burn down the building. They hide at the farm. That's pretty heavy.
Heavy stuff.
They think Raphael might die. They think Splinter's dead. They go back. They sneak into town. Then Casey Jones and that kid rescue Splinter. They get beat up by Shredder. Leonardo's the only one that gets a lick in on Shredder, and that's a cut on his arm.
Yep.
And he's just wiping the floor with them. I mean, the Turtles are going to win because that's the movie it is. But the movie is dark themed. The idea of the kid, Danny, the news director's son, taking the dark path is good. It's solid.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And for him, like to pretty much sell them out, like during the second act, when they're looking for the Turtles, he's like, pretty much steps up and says, pretty much what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I thought the story was a lot more stronger to me on the first one than it. Yeah.
Agreed. My favorite scene from the first one is when Raphael, he's already been basically thrown from the roof, and he's been out ever since. They have him in that bathtub, and Leonardo is sitting there in that chair. That is my favorite scene. It's so touching because Leonardo is basically, he's embraced the role of that leader at that point. He's the adult now, and you are seeing the turtles mature in this movie, and that's what I kind of hated about the second movie is it kind of degressed in maturity. I felt like because they were all acting goofy at that point,
right?
Yeah,
and I'm like, I don't know. I just want adult turtles. It's all I've ever wanted.
It definitely is like a step down when they go from like the first one to the second movie, and because it's all so. And I get it, like you want to throw some jokes in there, but it's like there's just so many quips, and like the first one had a good balance of the humor and the action and the kind of the grittiness, but it's like the second one just went in a different direction on.
I don't mind the cheesy humor at all. Like the first one, I felt like had the perfect blend of cheesy humor. April when all of the Foot Clan first got to her in the subway, and she said, or no, it may have been in a back alley. I don't remember, but she says, "Am I late on my Sony payments again?" I was like, oh my gosh, that's great. Oh,
and I think Raphael had like probably one of the coolest like character personalities of like he really had like that rebellious attitude. So like he, as a teenager, that kind of is a pretty close thing. So for him to kind of like have rebel against Splinter, or not Splinter, but Splinter and the Turtles a little bit. I mean, he had probably the best personality of them, because like Michelangelo was obviously the youngest and more immature, but then Leonardo was like trying to step into this role of a leader. So like you do see like this evolution of their personalities, and the second one, of course, it just goes downhill.
Yeah. What I didn't like, I think, about both movies is in the cartoon, I'm pretty confident, if my memory serves, that Donatello was my favorite. And I'm thinking that he was more of the intelligent one in the cartoon. He was more of the into science, into computers, that type of thing.
He's the gadget turtle.
The gadget turtle, and I love that. I was a big Inspector Gadget fan, so I'm a huge fan of Donatello, and I felt like in the first one, for sure, you got none of that. Donatello was an afterthought. He wasn't cared about at all in that movie. In the second one, you get a little bit more of that, but not enough for me to care. So I just felt like both movies underserved Donatello pretty big.
I would argue that in the second movie, any turtle could wear any mask and it wouldn't make a difference.
Agreed.
There was very little characterization.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean the movie wasn't fun. There are lots of fun movies that aren't great.
Yeah.
I know we're blending the two together by and large.
Yeah.
I just thought that the tone of the first one was much more like the original Eastman and Laird comics, much more like the original run. The second one looked like it could have been a long episode of the Saturday morning cartoon show. And can we talk about Tokka and Rahzar?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we can.
So my first question on that is, why did we not get Bebop and Rocksteady? Why are they not Bebop and Rocksteady?
I read about that because I was curious. They wanted, Eastman and Laird wanted them to use Bebop and Rocksteady. The studio didn't want to use them because they didn't want to have to animate the Warthog and what's the other one?
Rhino?
Rhino,
yeah.
So they created these two characters, which were obviously supposed to be Bebop and Rocksteady, and even their animatronics looked terrible even then, because they looked like big Muppets.
You know what they look like? They look like something out of the Flintstones movie.
You're right. I thought the same thing.
That's why I didn't like it. I'm trying.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure that turtle was in the Flintstones movie later.
Yeah.
It's probably just like right down the next studio. Like, here, just move this to the next movie.
Yeah, I mean, if they could give us those costumes, I don't see why they couldn't have gave us costumes that looked enough like Bebop and Rocksteady to do it in costume form.
Well,
I
I
mean,
thought there was
come
a
on.
missed opportunity too in the second movie with the scientist about
Mm-hmm.
the ooze, that he wasn't a human Baxter Stockman. The fly.
Yeah.
That would have been so easy to do. And his name is Dr. Stockman. And all you see is flies in his office.
Yeah.
That would have set it. Now, the third movie went a totally different, we're not going to talk about.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of missed opportunities from I'm going to use the term traditional Turtles look. I don't know, it wasn't traditional, but now, you know, the more modern movies, the Michael Bay movies did hew a little closer to that. They're just not very good.
No, the story's not good.
Right.
And I would love to see, I don't know if I would do a reboot, but in the same vein, the same look of those turtles with maybe an updated story. But we have costumes. We don't do it. Get away from CGI as much as possible.
I agree.
I'm pro that on any movie, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can use more practical effects, like, to me, even if they don't age very well, they to me, it still looks better. Because like, I think CGI can age worse than practical effects.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, this is way up. Look at Jurassic Park. Those are a mix of practical effects and CGI, and that movie is almost 30 years old. And it looks
lighting,
good
and the lighting helped that too. And I think that's what made the first one look better too. Because like, where it was darker, it kind of maybe hid some.
You
of the
can get away with
flaws.
things when it's dark.
Yeah.
Yep. Completely agree with that. So jumping back really quick to the first one, did you all notice that one of the, I guess, the street thugs, kind of the leader street thugs of the teenagers, was a very young Sam Rockwell?
No.
I read it after, but I didn't pick him out watching it.
Yeah. I definitely noticed it. I was like, hey, I know that guy. Not coming up with the name really quick, so I went to the Internet Movie Database and Sam Rockwell. I was like, wow.
Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
Justin Hammer himself.
Justin Hammer himself. That's right. Also, so this was kind of, I think, a trope in both Turtle movies. And that's with how easily Shredder was defeated in both movies. It's just circumstances. Circumstances defeated him. Like, so Splinter basically tripped him and then he fell off a building in the first movie. That's pretty much all he did.
He was supposed to be dead. The original plan was them not to bring him back, but the studio insisted on it. The idea was for the helmet to be crushed in the second movie, showing that he was gone, and to bring in a new villain. Now, who knows who it would have been? I can't remember.
I do want to mention something about that. I thought that was so weird. Like, the first one ends, and you know, he gets crushed, or you know, thinks he gets crushed
supposedly,
and then he's like thrown into the junkyard. How what's the time frame between two movies? Because and how long has Shredder been in the junkyard, just kind of laying there?
It seems like there's no time has passed at all between.
Well, the second movie was released less than a year after the first one, like 10 months. Yeah. So even if it's just that amount of time.
So just for like a few days, he's just been laying in the junkyard.
Right. I would bet that's, which is odd, but still, you know, I would say a few days time span is what we're seeing here.
I even wonder if it's a few weeks at most, because they've been living with April long enough for them to get on.
True.
Yeah.
That's true. Very true. But yeah, then in the second one, you know, you had the Super Shredder, who really does nothing. I mean, you know, he looks intimidating, but then he kills himself. I mean, he destroys the thing that kills himself. I like, it was so anticlimactic. I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. This is a horrible boss battle.
Super Shredder, who was in the movie for 45 seconds, played by WWE Hall of Famer, two-time Hall of Famer, Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
I have an autographed framed photo of Kevin Nash at my home.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that until I read it, last night that he was Super Shredder. And I was like, wow, that's amazing.
And he
But
went on to become the WWE champion and a founding
yeah, I
member
mean
of the NWO.
this would have been in 1991, so he may have been a WWE at that time, I guess.
He was in
Or
WCW.
he was in WCW.
He was still playing, Oz and Vinny Vegas.
Oh, okay. So he was
Not
still.
that I'm an old school wrestling fan, but I am.
Yeah. So that was pre-Diesel.
Oh yeah. I think Diesel didn't come around until like early 94.
Interesting.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Maybe I should take notes.
I don't know what else do we got from these movies. I know that in the second one I was playing with my phone a lot at that point. Like
I watched it, but it didn't suck me in as much. I will say this: I love the underlying theme of the turtles being a family, and when one of them's down, the other three aren't as strong. Now I know that's a little bit of a stretch, but I love that when they're all four together. They don't fight it. I still get aggravated when they fight one-on-one. It doesn't make any sense. If I had three brothers, we were all ninjas, we'd attack at the same time. That's not important.
Yeah.
How would I become a ninja? I don't know, but it'd be cool. But like, I like that they're one, they're a unit. I love that lesson that we learned in the first one.
Yeah. Like, I do like how they use Splinter as like a good tool to kind of keep them together and try to like, family.
That's right.
And that's
how when he tells one of them something, yes, master, yes, sensei.
Yeah.
Like he is their dad. He's not their father, but I love that sense of family from a rat and four turtles, which is dumb and stupid, but cool.
And it's so weird because like, I felt like I got more emotion from like this rat puppet versus hating Christian in all the Star Wars movies.
Oh man, hot take.
Wow.
Good take though.
Yeah.
You are just hating on lots of things here lately, Josh.
I am bitter.
You are bitter for some reason.
I don't know why you're bitter.
So one thing that I took note of, and I thought was probably maybe one of the funniest things in the part 2, is when Tokka and Rahzar, they had just got out of their kennel or whatever they were keeping them in,
right.
and he was trying to control them, and then their first words was basically calling him mama. Because he's trying to get them to call him master and call him mama. It kind of reminded me of like the dinosaur baby from the dinosaur show.
Yeah, not the mama.
Not the mama. I was like, that's amazing. But yeah.
That's a good point.
So like with the first one, like I mean, I know it was kind of rough around the edges, but it was so entertaining to watch it versus, of course, the second one. Like, we keep saying that, but like, I just don't know why they decided to like change the formula, even though I know they said it was too violent, but it's still, I mean, it made a lot of money and it still seemed like they did well without, compared to the PR press they got with the second one. I mean, I don't see why they would have changed all that.
Because studios always think the audience is stupid.
Right. Yeah.
Studios always think that they have to dumb it down or re-explain it. Let me get on my soapbox. I don't get why a studio can't look at, comic and film and movies and TV and novels. They're all different mediums, but a fan of a certain genre will follow it anywhere.
Yeah.
For example, there's a little bit of a stretch. Game of Thrones. I have read the books. I love the television series. We'll talk about it another time. HBO wanted changes made to dumb it down. And in the early seasons, the producers wouldn't do it. And look how they're rewarded. It's one of the most nominated, award-winning, profitable shows ever.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I'm sorry, I saw you get ready to talk. I apologize.
Oh, no, you're good. Go ahead.
On the other hand, you have Sony, who has the rights to Spider-Man. And Sony, instead of letting a story develop, is like, let's throw all these villains on screen at the same time and see what happens. It'll be great. And it's a spectacle, but it's not very good. Right. Don't dumb it down. The fans will go, people who aren't familiar with it will go and learn.
Yeah.
Fans are not stupid. Comic book doesn't mean juvenile.
Yep.
It doesn't have to.
And I mean, I will say the same thing
box
about
over.
horror. Like, I
Yes.
mean, horror can be dumb if it's intentionally, like the Evil Dead series. Like, they're campy for the sake of being campy in a way.
Sure.
But like, you know, the Turtles, the first movie made, you said what, $200 million or something
That was
like
a huge
that.
hit.
And it was based on like what people knew. It didn't need all this crazy PR stuff. So if they would have just stuck with, you know, a little bit of PR, but nothing that ridiculous, this film probably would have just been even better. Like, it probably would have been one of the few times the sequel surpassed the original.
It
I don't know
could
that
have.
I looked at the numbers. I'm wondering if the sequel, if it did better than the first.
I did look that up. I don't think it did. I think it didn't come close to the
I mean,
what the first one made.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
look.
would.
But yeah, like, you know, if a fan base, you know, with whatever, you know, it could be Turtles, it could be comics, horror, whatever. I mean, you don't have to treat the audience like they're idiots. I think that's the, you know, some of the biggest criticism you get from like a lot of these there's too much dialogue, or not dialogue, but like too much exposition in some films.
I think. Go ahead, Nate.
The second one only made $78 million.
Wow, much
Yeah.
less. Much less. How much did it cost? Did it say that?
25.
Okay, so yeah, they obviously the second one kind of bombed, and
And
it
the
it
third
makes
one-
sense.
The
Yeah.
third one cost 21 million, only made 42.
Wow.
So they were
So-
getting diminishing returns, and I would blame studio interference on all of it.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Completely agree with that. I think a lot of studios or just companies in general that are kind of driving these decisions end up trying to make decisions based on what they think is going to be toy sales.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that's
you mean
it.
the Batman Returns?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, whatever is going to be have the best little toy line for kids, that's what the movie is going to look like. Now, in the first Turtles movie, I don't think you got that. I think that they had the freedom to do what they needed to do to be more like the comics, and it was appreciated by everybody. But then after that, it was like, okay, how can we merchandise this, market this, and sell it to kids? And when that takes place, it kills it. You know, I think
agree.
it almost always kills it. So, you know, I
And you know,
completely
it's so
blame
crazy.
that.
I didn't know this, but like, you know, when they start trying to market it, you know, try to market toys or whatever, I mean, sometimes like they don't even know what the movie really is about. So they're just
Right.
putting out toys and stuff. So that's when, you know, a good example is Jurassic Park series. Like when I used
Right.
to buy them as a kid, like you would get these kind of weird little toys like this isn't in the movie. And it's because the company that made the toys had no idea what the script was about. So they just threw
Right.
out like all these, you
Now-
know, things. So, and that's such a weird thing because back then toys was a big thing for movies like that.
Well,
'Cause-
the weird thing about the 80s toys is I would say almost in every case the toy came out before the animated stuff. So the toys were made
yeah.
before. Now, with the Turtles, you did have the comic. So you at least had that. Then you had the toys. Then from the toys you got the animated series. Then from the animated series you got the
Right.
But with He-Man, that was a toy first, and then they made the show after. I'm trying to think of some more examples, but it seemed like an 80s thing. It's just like we come
Yeah.
up with toys, and now we're going to have to make storylines and stuff for them.
Right.
Was it
And-
G.I. Joe the same scenario? Like, was it a toy first and a TV show?
I
Or
think
was it reversed?
I think so. But then the TV show dictated what the toys were going to be, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and I think that's usually how that worked. You know, when you do have an animated series, it's definitely great marketing for toys for sure, but then it kind of dictates what the toys are going to look like in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I really don't mind the whole, like, you know, merchandising of things. I understand you got to make money, but
Right.
when those decisions, when the merchandising is the reason why you're making decisions for a movie or a show, that's when I have a problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I mean, don't get me wrong. I get that the Turtles, by and large, are not the height of cinema, but there's more that could have been done.
Yeah. I
But when
mean, you can make a conscious decision to make a film and make it like still, yeah, this is not going to be one of those films that's going to be like, okay, this is going to be so deep and philosophical, but you can make it entertaining still and rewatchable. But
Mhm.
I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like studios just don't know. Like they think they know what the audience wants.
They
or
do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Also-
you're going to see a movie called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Are you really going in expecting to come out and being like, all right, that second turtle in the green mask or whatever, the purple mask, that guy deserves an Academy Award nomination? Look
Yeah.
at, you're not making them. That movie is to make money and sell toys, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But let's not dumb it down so that even kids are thinking it's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like even the language was different in the second one. Like in the
Yeah,
first
well.
one, I mean, I'm not saying it was like filled with cuss words, but like I noticed like in the first one, the language was a little more mature in the first one than the
Yeah,
second one.
it was.
Yes, it was.
There was a few curse words in the first one,
Yeah, and I'm
and
just
not
like,
and nothing in the second one. That
Look,
Yeah.
don't teenagers cuss?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't like bad language, but I understand that, teenagers tend to, that's when they're just learning how.
Mhm.
Oh, one of my favorite things from the first one was when I think it was either Michelangelo or Leonardo, Donatello. I don't remember. I'm going to go through all of them. I don't remember which turtle it was, but he was watching a cartoon of the tortoise and the hare racing, and he is
Yes.
freaking out about it, and because the turtle's losing, and he was like, "Ninja kick the damn rabbit."
You use your sword. Do something.
Oh my goodness, that was
I
just great.
forgot that. I just watched it and I forgot that.
Yeah, that was great. And then when they called Casey Jones Wayne Gretzky on steroids,
I thought that was funny. So that's
that
funny
was funny.
now.
That's funny now. Exactly. Yep. So there was some pretty cheesy things, but just really funny.
Like I liked how in the rooftop scene where they're beating up Raphael,
Mhm.
and like the other turtles are like, he's probably just out blowing steam. He's getting shoots him getting beat up, and then it goes back to I know it's supposed to be like a serious scene, but I'm like, that's kind of clever in a way.
That part was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
In fact, I don't mind saying the scenes on the farm in the first one, I think are great.
I
Mhm.
do too.
Even the ones that have a little funny tinge to them, they're
Yep.
great scenes.
Yeah.
What do I know?
Yeah. And I mean, we got a lot of Casey Jones and April in the farm scenes,
Yeah.
and that was a great dynamic too. Their relationship.
Mhm.
I didn't
thought it was
remember them
hilarious.
being an item in the comics or the cartoon.
Yeah, I don't remember if they were either, but it worked.
Right.
It would have worked for the second movie too.
Yeah, and like Casey wasn't even mentioned in the second movie.
No, he
No.
sure was not. Also, I liked Donatello and Casey when they were working on that truck, and they were speculating on Gilligan's Island.
And I like the alphabet insult game.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that with somebody
We should do that on this podcast.
next week. It'll be our highest ratings ever.
It
The
would be.
Gilligan's Island debate that everybody used to have.
Uh-huh.
Just for the record, Mary Ann, I'm just saying.
So the debate was who would get off the island. Is that what?
Oh,
it was?
is that the debate? That's not the debate we used to have. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to think of the debate that they were having.
That's the one they were having. Yes, I was
Yeah.
trying to be funny.
Oh, you were doing the most attractive, right?
That's one way to put it. Yes.
Yeah, and I would agree. I would
mate.
agree, Marianne.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Ginger had been around. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
And it was
Yeah.
not hard to tell. That's another podcast for another day.
that's right. So I did appreciate the backstory of Splinter's master Yoshi and Arokosaki.
Oh yeah.
That was I felt like if they hadn't bombed 2 and 3, they could have easily went back and done a prequel with Yoshi
Mhm.
and Splinter, and that would have been amazing. Like that, I think all Ninja Turtle fans would have appreciated that story.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. There's a lot of, I use the word mythology because every series, like Marvel has a deep mythology, DC, Game of Thrones, Criminal Minds, whatever you're watching has a deep, or reading. the turtles have a lot of deep mythology in them, and that's part of it.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
This is kind of off topic, but the guy who played Casey Jones, I could have swore it was the guy who played in CSI, or was it what was that Law and Order show?
Elias Koteas has been in all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was Christopher Maloney.
I can see that.
Yeah, I was like, isn't this Christopher? I'm like, oh, it's not. So I totally forgot about that. I mean, they look a lot like, but that's just a different topic.
They have similar facial features.
Mm-hmm.
See, I didn't even think about it, and now it's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Wow.
So speaking of casting, in the first one, I think we mentioned this last week, but Corey Feldman was Donatello in the first one, and then they was recast.
Wasn't he just the voice?
It was just the voice. That's correct. Just the voice. Now, did you say that he was recast from like legal issues?
He had a drug charge, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
that guy's a mess.
It's interesting though how 80s that actor was. He was in everything in the 80s.
He was in the Friday the 13th 4, and I think even 5 as a short cameo. But like, yeah, he like what they call them, the two Corys that worked together for a lot, like Lost Boys and License to Drive or something like that. Like they were huge.
He was in the Goonies as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
he was huge. Yeah.
Oh, the Goonies. I would argue. I don't know. I'd argue a lot about that movie. I love it.
Maybe a movie we should do.
Oh yeah, I'm not dictating the term. It's one of my favorites. I also have a Goonies T-shirt and Goonies pop.
I like how you slip movies under the radar here during our podcast, and then we end up talking about them. It's almost like you have an agenda. I'm
really not trying to do that. I have to make decisions at my job. I'm not making decisions here.
I agree.
That's in the contract.
All in all, it was a fun watch.
Yeah, that's right.
I liked going back and watching these, and it was again the first time since '90s since I've seen it, so I appreciate that. I could watch the first one many times. I like it a lot. Second one, I'll never watch it again. I'm
going to watch the third one this week just to remind myself.
Yeah,
it's not very good, but I'm going to watch it.
Yeah. Just for completion's sake, I guess.
I say this week, it could be a while. Well, right. And I love the idea of the turtles. I mean, when you came up with the idea, again, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's really dumb.
Yeah.
And yet they're iconic. I mean, they're worldwide. They're over everywhere. There's a show on Netflix, quick plug, called The Toys That Made Us.
Oh.
And one of them's about the turtles, or there's the movies or the shows that I mean, all of it's good, but the one about the turtles is exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And
I just think like sometimes movie companies just need to give people a chance, like to take a risk. Because right now, everybody just seems to like want to focus on stuff that's familiar because it's easier to market.
Yeah.
Because think about this. No, it's not as bad now, but like when reboots was a big thing, like all you had to do is like, hey, here's another Freddy Krueger movie coming out. It's a reboot. Here's a Jason reboot. Like it's already got the fan base.
Aren't we seeing that instead of? I would say more sequels. Isn't that what we're seeing now? Look, I love the big budget superhero stuff and the action movies. I love it, but I can't tell you that. Oh, my friends are going to be so mad when I say this. There's very little difference between any Spider-Man movie, any Batman movie, any Captain America movie, any Thor movie, any X-Men movie, any Avengers movie. They're all really the same.
Mm-hmm.
Good guys have powers. Good guys get beat. Good guys win. Roll credits.
Yeah.
Now, look, there's a lot of details in between, but we're not exactly challenging the IQ of the average moviegoer.
It is a formula, and like there is a formula to it, and like the only ones that's and the ones that seem to me that kind of break the formula winds up being like Logan, the Wolverine movie.
Yes,
like those are the ones that really decides to say, "Hey, this is the last film. F it, just do what you want with it and go dark."
Yeah,
to me, that's legit cinema. If you want to like make like a thrill, like what you want to call like a thriller action movie.
Of course, the problem then is anything different. A lot of times, like you said, doesn't make the money, and the name of the game is money.
Mm-hmm.
Look, it drives me crazy when people complain about businesses making money. If a business isn't making money, they've got to change their plan.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not talking about big salaries. That's not what I'm talking about. But I don't want to go into business and lose money. I can't
Yeah.
stay open.
All right.
I can't make movies if I don't make money.
And like I get it, like when Zack Snyder wants to make one of his like really epic films, like they're going to look at like we can't put a 4-hour movie out.
Right.
You
It's
know.
going to lose us money.
Now the only reason Marvel got away with it because of they had like what over like how many movies, 20 some movies or something before the Infinity War
They built
and
the
Endgame.
equity with the fans.
They
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
I could
a
do
lot of
without
times,
another Zack Snyder movie. They're all the same. They're dark, brooding, and violent. And look, I enjoy them, but man, they're hard to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times studios are just impatient, especially when you get in the DC realm, Warner Brothers. They're so impatient that they can't build the credibility with the audience. They can't build the
Right.
audience because they just want to pump something out to make money, and it don't work like that. Now, what I appreciate though, when it comes to more of the DC movies, is when they don't do that, when they allow creativity, like the Joker movie. A brilliant movie. I
Mhm.
loved that movie.
Good
You
movie.
know,
Hmm.
and I don't know that box office wise, I don't know that it killed it. I don't know that they probably made money, but not that much. You
I mean,
compare
it
it
made
to,
hundreds of millions of dollars and netted an Academy Award for Joaquin Phoenix. And there'll
It
probably
did.
be a sequel. I mean, and I
True, but you
was
compare it.
crazy.
You compare it to anything the Marvel's done. It's probably not anywhere close.
Oh,
Right.
And what's
But
sad is
the-
I
but-
feel like that's what so many companies are trying to compare now. It's like, oh, look how much
Yeah.
Disney's making. So now
Yep.
it's almost like Disney's like box office is becoming like I don't want to say standard, but like the
It
like the
is.
go-to.
That's what they're
sale.
reaching to is
Yeah.
the Disney.
Disney
And-
owns Marvel, Disney owns Star Wars, Disney owns Disney,
Mhm.
which includes Pixar.
Yeah.
So there's
And
very
and
little
Fox.
chance.
They
You
they
got to
own
have
Fox
the Fox
as well.
studio stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, Disney has done a nice job cornering the market. I'm not big business guy, but what they do is impressive.
Mhm.
They,
It is,
they've,
and-
they've known what to do. I don't think Disney gets Star Wars. I've said it a million times. I'll probably say
Agreed.
it a million more, but they have some people in place that do get Star Wars.
Yeah.
And like and I know they've been doing a lot of these live action remakes or whatever. And the thing is, that's an easy marketing tool too, because
It's an
like,
easy
oh, you
$1
love the
billion.
Little Mermaid? Let's do a live action version of it, and throw in some,
Right.
I don't know, it just,
I love the Jungle Book live action. I know we're off topic. I don't mean to be.
but I think they
Jungle
could
Book's-
probably like if they really wanted to like do another Ninja Turtles like the first one. I think with technology now and practical effects, if they use it correctly, they could make a really good. I don't want to say
think they could.
reboot, but like another good Turtles movie.
Yeah. I think they could.
Oh, I agree 100%, Josh. You're on.
And I don't know much about the Michael Bay ones either because I never saw. I thought I saw like clips and when I think of Michael Bay, I think
I
of
didn't like them.
slow motion and explosions. That's usually
I didn't
my thing.
I didn't like the redesigned turtle look, and I didn't like the story. So
Yeah.
No, he didn't want them to be turtles. He wanted them to be space aliens.
yeah.
Well, then
He-
why not just make a movie about space aliens?
Yeah.
What?
That's what it wasn't that part of their backstory or something like
Yeah.
is they were space aliens instead of being mutants.
Yeah, Michael
I-
Bay, I don't hate the guy, but I don't think he knows how to make decent movies. He knows how to make money.
Yeah.
Action movies. That's all it is. There's nothing to it. It's just action.
Right.
All right. Well, I think we have talked about everything tonight. So
Mhm.
let's go ahead and move on to figuring out what we're going to talk about next week. What do we think?
I don't have the list in front of me tonight. I didn't bring them in here.
Dramatic
Okay.
pause.
So
Do you need me to go grab them or are we okay?
no,
Nah.
you see, you kind of picked this one, Nate. So I think Josh, we're technically on your turn again, I believe. Flintstones
Yeah, I think so.
would be-
'Cause, yeah, you did Flintstones. We
Yeah.
did. So I was actually
so-
thinking about this one today because I'm like, I think it's my turn. So I better, just in case, I better kind of like
Yeah.
think of.
Good thinking, pal.
Mhm.
So at first I was like, well, let's talk about Child's Play 2. But then my cousin kind of brought up something like the Predator. I love the original Predator.
With Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I love that movie.
Okay.
And I'm just like, that is one of my favorite action movies of all time. I mean, it is an action horror, I guess. I don't know what you want to call it, but like, I love the original. 2 is good too, but
I
like,
agree.
But I love the original because it was, I don't know, it just had like the Arnold Schwarzenegger testosterone overly, just all
it's
yeah.
the most 80s man movie ever.
Really
Everybody
is.
is so jacked up and they're ready to go and
Wow.
I ain't got time to bleed and all that stuff. And really, like
It's got so many of that action here, like the action
Right.
tropes, like the guy who
It's
just
so
stands
good.
there and just and oh my god, it's such a good movie.
Okay, then that's what we're doing. We're going to do the Predator next week. So that should
I'm
be
so
good.
excited to watch it again.
I don't think I've seen it.
Really?
So there's that. Yeah, this will be my first watch.
Okay, yeah. I have like the whole entire collection down here. So yeah, that's gonna be a fun one for me.
Oh, it's going to be so good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. All right, good pick, Josh.
Can we agree we're all going to do our own Schwarzenegger impression? No, I'm just kidding.
Get to the chopper.
No, it's not a tumor.
Kindergarten cop. Kindergarten cop.
Kindergarten. I'll hot take Kindergarten Cop is an underrated classic.
Agreed.
It's funny.
Agreed. All right. So as always, closing with a quote. One might call it a lyric from the second part of the Turtles. And Josh, you're going to appreciate this completely. Okay. So here we go. From Vanilla Ice. Yo, it's the Green Machine. Going to rock the town without being seen. Have you seen a turtle get down? Slamming and jamming to the new swing sound. Yeah, everybody let's move. Vanilla Ice is here with a new jack groove. Gonna rock and roll this place with the power of the Ninja Turtle bass. Iceman, you know I'm not playing. Devastate the show while the turtles are saying ninja, ninja rap. Ninja, ninja rap. Go, 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 go. Go ninja, go ninja, go. Go ninja, go ninja, go. Have a good night, everyone.
See
you
y'all.
next time. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. We hope that we were able to entertain you at least for a spell. If you see value in our craziness and want to continue supporting us, please follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our videos, and share our content with someone you may know. Also, let us know how we're doing. Make suggestions for the podcast. Leave us a comment. Heck, send us an email. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on the Bottle of Pop Culture podcast.